Are you looking for the best RTX 3070 graphics cards? In this video we will look at some of the best RTX 3070 graphics cards. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. MSI GeForce RTX 3070 8GB Gaming X Trio Ampere Graphics Card. If you want aesthetics, cooling, and reliability, look no further than the MSI Nvidia GeForce RTX 3070 8GB Gaming X Trio. Yet again, similar to that of their RTX 3080 variant, it comes with all the bells and whistles we become accustomed to, such as the Frozr 2 cooling system and that RGB lighting gamers know and love. Let's first talk about that cooling and why it's vital to the card's performance. As stated previously, the MSI Nvidia GeForce RTX 3070 8GB Gaming X Trio uses the TRI Frozr 2 cooling system in addition to newly designed TorqueFan 4.0 blades, combining to create extremely efficient thermal dissipation, keeping your 3070 cool even under intense stress. There's also some tech called airflow control packed in, which direct air to where it's required for maximum cooling. Couple this with the WaveCurve 2.0 fin edges and you'll get a quieter overall GPU rather than the blustery noises of the past. All of this comes together to create a quiet yet extremely cool graphics card that's a necessity due to the sheer power. If it weren't to have this cooling, it would likely overheat and essentially turn into an expensive paperweight. Looking more on that power, let's delve a little into the actual specs. You'll be taking advantage of the card's core 1500 MHz clock, boostable up to 1830 MHz, giving you even more punch if you choose to overclock. There's also 8GB of GDDR6 memory in conjunction with 5888 CUDA cores, allowing for your AAA games to run as smooth as possible even at 4K resolutions. Finally, the aesthetics. It looks exactly like you'd expect from an MSI gaming TRIO, with the 3-fan configuration and those simple but effective RGB lighting placements that give the card a little flair. The black and gray colors give it a professional and stealth-like finish that will fit right into a number of PC builds, matching that of other components that'll surely be in there. Number 2. Gigabyte AORUS GeForce RTX 3070 Master 8G. Of course, a Gigabyte card has to make the list of the best RTX 3070 GPUs, and this time round we've chosen the AORUS Master 8G edition due to its array of features that other graphics cards simply don't have. Jumping straight into those features, some are aesthetic-based, but it's the cooling that we'll focus on first. The max-covered cooling system utilizes three 100mm unique blade stack fans with wind claw design and alternate spinning. These bolster airflow and push the air pressure to completely cover the heatsink. Moreover, the fan fins are angular and unequal to channel airflow even further, enlarging the surface area coverage, attempting to keep the whole card cool rather than just some portions. While the cooling is great, let's look at the fancy RGB and special effects that you gamers out there crave. There are subtle top and bottom lighting strips that provide some luminance to the more blacked out effect card, but it's the built-in LCD screen, yes LCD screen, on the side of the card that we're most interested in. The LCD monitor not only enables you to see specific graphics card information, but you can also display various text, pictures, and GIFs to fully customize your internals. These can all be adjusted with the handy RGB Fusion 2.0 software, making it super simple to switch it up when you get bored. Finally, the specs. The Gigabyte AORUS boasts a base clock of 1500 MHz with a boost of up to 1815 MHz, which is actually a little more than the MSI variant we've listed above, proving why this RTX 3070 deserves its place on this list. Moreover, you'll be getting the usual 5888 CUDA cores and 8GB of GDDR6 memory, propping up the already immense power. Number 3. Asus Nvidia GeForce RTX 3070 8GB ROG Strix OC Ampere Graphics Card. Asus and its ROG Strix range of graphics cards are always up there with the top choices no matter what type you're looking for. Their RTX 3070, however, takes it to another level, building on the already great features of its predecessors and improving them further. Again, let's initially look at the cooling tech that's gone into this card. The Axial Tech fan upgrades see auxiliary fans now boasting 11 individual blades and the main central fan housing 13, creating a force to be reckoned with. Additionally, the barrier ring on the side of the fans has been slimmed down a little to increase lateral intake, creates an optimized airflow. This also boosts static pressure to direct air directly onto the GPU heat spreader, leading to a cooler card overall. As well as improving the cooling efforts of the ROG Strix, the design has got a facelift too. There are new metal accents that mirror the design aesthetic of ROG and ROG Strix motherboards, bringing the whole family together and streamlining the aesthetics of your build if you're an Asus fan. The RGB lighting is utilized in a subtle fashion, running along the top of the GPU and leaking into those fans, making it not too garish and in your face. To round off, probably the key part for most, the specs. As to be expected, you're looking at that 1500 MHz base clock speed, but the overclocking capabilities max out at a 1725 MHz boost, which is a little less than the two previous options, but that's reflected in the price point. It does, however, still have the usual suspects of 8GB of GDDR6 RAM and 5888 CUDA cores that we're accustomed to at this point. All in all, a solid RTX 3070 that's worth dropping your hard-earned cash on. Number 4. EVGA Nvidia GeForce RTX 3070 8GB XC3 Ultra Gaming. Last up, we can't finish a best GPU list without mentioning an EVGA variant, a shame considering the company parted ways with Nvidia in 2022. The one we think is the top selection from their lineup is the EVGA Nvidia GeForce RTX 3070 8GB XC3 Ultra Gaming, due to the history of its predecessors and the further improvements made this time. The first of these improvements is the introduction of airflow pockets within the heatsink, allowing the air to move freer, especially when the card is being put in intensive situations. Additionally, new 180-degree heat pipes have been introduced in which have increased contract area, making heat dissipation more optimized. EVGA has also thought about your ears, developing new fan tech that allows silence. The 0 dB mode, which essentially does exactly what it says, aims to keep fan noises to an absolute minimum, removing any potential distractions in the heat of the moment. Now, let's talk aesthetics. It doesn't look as slick as the 2080 or 2080 due to its size and the more blocky nature, but it does still offer a nicely designed body overall. RGB enthusiasts may also be left a little wanting with almost no fancy effects. The only lighting inclusion is on the EVGA logo itself. While some might see this as a downside, for those who are looking for a subtler setup with minimal lighting effects, the XC3 Ultra Gaming might actually be a more beneficial pickup. Looking at the specs, again, it's all a bit of a muchness at this point, with the standard 1500 MHz base clock, 8GB GDDR6 RAM, and 5888 CUDA cores. But the boost clock is sitting in the middle of the road compared to the rest of the pack, coming in at 1770 MHz, which is pretty solid, and you'd certainly see the difference compared to the lesser ROG Strix Max.